Welcome. In this problem, we'll see an application of conditional probability. So let's take a look. A group of 150 teenagers took a driving test. Before the test, some took a driver's education class and the rest did not. And the results are reported in a two-way frequency table. So two-way just means keeping track of two variables, whether they took a driver's ed class and whether or not they failed or passed their driving test. And we've got the frequency counts there. So let's do step one here and do some totaling. So the number of teenagers that failed their driving test, that looks like 87. And the number that passed their test, 63. And adding those, we'll get the 150 teenagers they mentioned in the problem. And then we also kept track of how many took a driver's education class. And that looks like 90 of them. 60 did not. So there's our 150. All right, so we're going to choose a teenager at random from the group and find the probability that they passed their driving test. All right, so this is just regular probability here. No conditions have been applied yet. So I'm just going to go straight to the answer here. So out of those 150, the number that passed their test, 63. So 63 out of 150 passed their driving test. And I'm going to go ahead and write that as a decimal and a percent because we'll do some comparing coming up. So decimal 0.42 of them and percent then 42% of them passed their driving test. All right, now let's get some additional information in our probability. So now it says, find the probability the teen passed the test. Given that the teen took the driver's education class. All right, so the given tells us that we know we're only going to look at those teens that took driver's education class. So what I'm going to do is just put a box around that row. So took the class, we're only going to look at these teens. It's a little messy there, but there you go. We're only going to look at those teenagers. All right, so I will write the formula here though. So the numerator would be the number that passed and also meet the condition that they took the class. And then the denominator is always the number that meet the condition, the given that. We're looking just at those that took the class. All right, so sometimes I like to do my denominator first. So we're only looking at 60 teens that took the class. And out of those 60, the number that also met the condition of passing the test were 39 of them. So 39 out of the 60. And let's go ahead and write that in decimal. So that's 0.65. Or a 65% chance if we're choosing just from the driver's education class people that they passed. So the idea here is we're trying to address the question, does taking driver's education seem to help students pass their driving test? So we do a little comparison. So I'm going to just box in. So in general, there was a 42% chance a teen passed. But if we just look at the people that took driver's ed, that probability of passing jumps up to 65%. So it's looking like there's a pretty big percentage increase there among students that did take driver's ed. So for part C, it says, is there evidence that a teen who takes the class is more likely to pass the test than a randomly chosen teenager from the group? All right, so I'm going to say yes, because that answer found in part B is larger than the answer found in part A. Now, what we don't address here is how do you draw a conclusion based on how big a difference that is. So we don't really get into that yet. I'm just going to use a little bit of subjectivity and just my opinion here that I do think that that seems like a big enough jump to convince me that driver's ed is helpful. If, on the other hand, instead of 65%, if this had been, say, 43%, 42 compared to 43 might not be so convincing. So we'll just use our best judgment here and say in this case that yes, I think that's a big enough difference to conclude that the test chances of passing increases with driver's ed. All right. And then we'll just do one more here. And I'm not going to write the formula for everyone on these last ones. We'll see if we just have the idea now going through the process here of some questions. So 6 marbles are in a bag. 1 and 4 are white. 2, 3, 5, 6 are gray. And I'm just going to write my sample space here. So S, if I picked a marble from the bag, I could get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And we'll start with the probability that if you pick a marble at random, you get marble 2. So there's only 1 marble 2 out of 6 marbles. All right. And then what's the probability you pick marble 2? Given that the marble is gray. So that given that is telling you, you know that the marble is gray. So I'm just going to write my gray ones here. So the condition tells me I'm only looking at marbles 2, 3, 5, 6. So there are 4 gray. So there's our denominator. And out of those gray, so it's what's the probability we pick marble 2 looking at the gray marbles. There's still just 1 marble 2. So now our answer is 1 out of the 4 gray. All right, so if writing the formula is helpful, you can certainly do that as well. But like I said, I just want to sort of get through these with the idea of conditional probability. All right, so C, what is the probability you pick marble 2? Given that the marble is white. So now the denominator will be the number that are white because we're only allowed to look at the white. We know that we're looking at the marbles 1, 4. So we have 2 white. And out of those white ones, the chances that I pick marble 2, well, there is no marble 2 that's white. So none of them are white out of those 2. So there's no chance of picking marble 2 if you're only looking at the white marbles. All right. Regular probability, no condition here. What's the probability you pick a white marble? So 1 and 4 are white. So just a reminder here that you go back to your entire sample space, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If there's no condition, we consider all the marbles. And the white ones were 1, 4. So 2 out of the 6. And then the probability of white, given that, knowing that you have an even marble. So if we know we have an even marble, that was 2, 4, 6. And the probability of picking a white one out of 2, 4, 6, 4 is white. So just 1 marble out of those 3. All right, just a couple more here to wrap up. What's the probability that you pick an even marble? So that would be 2, 4, 6. So 3 out of the 6, back to the sample space of 6. And then what's the probability of even, given that it's a white marble? So again, the condition tells you your denominator. I can only look at the white. 1 and 4 were the white. And the probability of getting an even, 4 is even. So 1 out of those 2. Okay, so that wraps up our conditional probability examples.